Trying out the GoPro, and here we go. We're going to talk today about the OODA loop. And as Benjamin Bloom, our good buddy that we love to quote often, states, is there's three domains of learning: the affective domain, the cognitive domain, and the physical domain. Excuse me. So with that said, and the OODA loop was founded by John Boyd, an Air Force pilot, in the late 40s, and the purpose of the OODA loop was better reaction time. Okay, so the better reaction time relates to many things that we could teach, but we're going to put it under our Marshall pillar. All right, so as when we talk about the Marshall development of our course, understand that as you know, I've been in over 1,000 fights in my life. I've been stabbed, I've been shot at, been hit with a brick, hit with a whiskey bottle, hit with a bat, all the above. So never lost, never been physically defeated. And I stopped counting after. We are in Thailand, where there's a variety of people. So of course Muay Thai is a style here, and you have a boatload of Russians here. So you got tons of Russians that have their own styles, their own body types, their own sizes, their own capacity. You also getting more and more mixed martial arts training into Russia. You have the Chinese, which have the wushu style. You have a lot of the Chinese here, so their arts are prevalent, as you can see. So you literally could run into any European, any American, or any Asian art while you're in Thailand. Martial art, that is. All right, so with that said, understanding the purpose of the OODA loop as it relates to reaction time applies to this martial setting. The purpose is this: O, observe; O, orient; D, decide; A, act. So if you want to increase your reaction time, whether that's in fighting, for our instance that we're going to talk about now, business decisions, or sports, increasing your OODA loop capacity is where you want to start. All right, so if you observe, you're going to need to be aware and observe the things that are around you and what's taking place. That's going to process some stuff for you. So now you got to orient. So now you have, do I know how to do A? Do I know how to do B? Do I know how to do C? So you have to run through that list. Your neurological disposition will force you to run through that list. Then you get to the D, the decide. Now I have to decide, is A better to use? Is B better to use? Or is C better to use? Then I have to act. I have to take the presence of mind and issue the order command. All right, that whole process can happen in microseconds, or it can take minutes. Obviously, what happens to you in between that time is very determinant on your capacity to react faster. All right, so what John Boyd suggests with the OODA loop training for the Air Force pilots was that the more options we have, the more likely we are to stall. All right, the less options we train, the better option we are to have a faster reaction time. So let's just use a common jab. So blocking a jab. All right, so I can post up here, I can step away and block, and I can hit him in the bicep, right? I can use the universal defense. I can put up here and hit with the elbows and swing and try to move. Many great self-defense teachers or martial arts styles will teach a multitude of ways to defend against the jab. All right, so if I know 7 ways to defend against the jab, then I'm going to process every one of those if I'm untrained in any of those. All right, now if I want to train my OODA loop reaction time to increase, then I'm going to pick a specific one. All right, so when I see that jab raise and that's coming at me as a jab, if it's coming at me as a left jab, I'm going to be on this side. I'm going to automatically, boom, I'm going to post it up and I'm going to stop the jab. What if the guy's 6'1", Joe? Yeah, okay, so I need to assess that, don't I? All right, so the more skilled you are and the more you learn, the more you have to practice. All right, so you can take a self-defense class from the best teacher in the world. Superman can teach you self-defense, and if you don't practice it, it's going to be worth a big pile of doo-doo, right? That's just the basics. First of all, you have to understand your willingness to engage. Are you willing to do what it takes? Or do you just want to get out of there and survive, right? Okay, now that you've assessed your willingness to engage, start assessing your physical skill capacity. Once you know your physical skill capacity, then you want to take on what you can do within your physical skill capacity and start to train the mental components of that capacity and get better at all of those. All right, so the OODA loop, here's what we want to do. We want to practice 1 or 2 items to defend against one or two situations. All right? Someone's going to reach for me on a front choke and try to choke me like this. As soon as I see the hands coming up, I'm either going to collapse the hands or I'm going to go inside the hands, right? Now, do I have to think about which one I'm going to do, or do I just train and practice? So if the person's taller than me, I'm going to collapse the hands so I can collapse them and push their hands down. If they're shorter than me, I want to take their hands up and away from them so that they lose power when they come up. All right? So I'm not going to get into the positions of power and leverage and all the details that it would take for me to teach you the fighting aspect of it. What we're trying to talk about today is the OODA loop. All right? Applying that to a martial mindset means understanding that you're going to get good at one or two things. Continually practice those things that you're willing to do to another human, right? Once you do those, make sure you're just proficient at these, not sufficient at these. You are proficient at these, all right? The more proficient you come, the faster your involuntary reaction will be. As soon as you see someone threatening you, your position will be properly aligned for your reaction. So then your OODA loop is going to send the reaction through, and it's going to become automatic. It's not going to be something that you have to stop and think about. Do I do A? Do I do B? Do I do C? The longer you have to think about it, the less reaction time you have, right? The OODA loop. Make sure you look it up, read about it, understand how it applies to you, and we will be happy to teach you more individually on an individual basis. As with all of our videos, we're just kind of getting the concept out there for you. As I mentioned today, we're testing the new microphone, testing the GoPro adapter, and we wanted to bring you a beautiful location, some good information, and I hope that this comes through right and that you understand what to do. As always, research deeper. OODA loop. Thank you. We're glad you tuned into Madzook, and we hope you have a great day.